Hello, guys. We wanted to share our experience, our Royal Caribbean cruise experience,
yes.
or should we even call it experience, or what
It
should
was a royal tragedy, or I don't know, a royal mistake. I mean, we went back in 2017.
Last year, yeah, last year.
No, in 2017.
Oh, originally, yeah.
On Royal Caribbean, and we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
You know, it was something that you wanted to share with me, you know, because I had never been on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I'd only been on a Carnival cruise years and years ago. And I was really happy. We used the buffet entirely.
Right.
For like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, that time, yeah.
Yeah, and it was great.
And, you know, with me, I've been a cruiser for a while. I've cruised on Holland America, Princess Line, and a couple of times with Royal Caribbean prior to going to you, but things have changed, and not for the better.
Oh, have they? I mean, I was surprised at how many changes had been made during the time that we had gone on a cruise last year.
Yeah.
In the same time, almost, roughly
a week or two.
We used
later.
Princess cruises, which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
But it was very, very different this time.
And mind you, I know that, you know, economy has changed, and I know that there's a lot of things that has changed in the world that we're living in today, which I'm sure affects cruise lines. But nonetheless, I believe that they're really cutting a lot of corners, and we'll go into details, you know, regarding it. And side note, don't want to blame the employees, because one thing that I found out through the grapevine, cruise lines, pretty much employees are modern day slaves. They work 14-hour days, 7 days a week. They're on a contract for 5 months or so, and
They
it's
can't leave
nonstop.
the ship.
No, it's nonstop for them. You know, and that, I mean, I could not even imagine that kind of work schedule, and a bunch of people who are nagging and wanting, because you go on a cruise, you want to be catered to.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a hard job. So I don't blame them. I blame the cruise lines for not making better conditions for their employees.
Yeah, I was really surprised when we spoke to our waiter, and he was constantly getting us to make sure that we gave him a good 10 out of 10 rating. I mean, he was insistent to the point of repetitive and
pleading, almost
borderline begging.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt bad for him because he did his best job. And
with what he had,
even if he didn't, and we'll get into it later, but even if the food didn't meet the 10 out of 10 expectation, he expected us to give it a 10 out of 10 because that would affect him indirectly, but directly. And we'll get into it later. But
we can get into it now so we don't forget. So it was like, please give me that rating or I will get penalized and get sent to school, almost like remedial type of thing,
training, some kind of class or something. And mind you, they're on the ship 24/7 for 5 months out of the year.
Yeah, and working 14 hours, probably more.
14 hours.
I mean, you get 8 hours of sleep. What does that give you as a person? And I believe that 14 hours is probably a lot longer than that.
I'm sure it is, because at the end of the cruise, they thought it was going to be a nice gesture that they were bringing back 200 employees to say farewell and to give a thanks. And he even mentioned that, the cruise director, Mark, even mentioned that it was going to be like possibly emotional and everything. But what I saw when they started walking up towards the end of the last show was a bunch of tired people. I mean, especially housekeeping, who was like, we
gotta get back to work.
I mean, we have to get back. And then the cruise director mentioned that they were going to have to get back to work in a few hours. That meant that in order to entertain us and to appeal to us, they were bringing these poor people who needed to be in bed, basically, and
No, they still were working.
I know, but
they
should have been in bed if they're only going to be, up in about a few hours, as the director said. And they were like, being applauded and everything, but it was like, do they sleep? Do they get to rest?
So I felt like we were contributing to modern day slavery, and it's like it's made me think again about cruising, with what we're seeing and how it's all playing out. It's pretty sad, it's pretty sad. And I mean, the stuff that we're going to go through here, and it's not like everybody doesn't get treated equally,
No, that was something we found out from the not the grapevine, actually from an actual cruising family that uses their social status and their financial ability to get what they want whenever they want it.
Yeah, as in like paying $1,000 to the individual responsible so that they don't have to wait in line, that they can literally shut the water park or the slides so that their children had the ability to play in the slides for a couple of hours without disturbance.
So if you're ever on a Royal Caribbean cruise and all of a sudden your kids can't go down the water slides for whatever reason, and they're not really telling you why, but you see children running up and down the stairs and getting on rafts and getting on the water slides and coming down and going back up again and going down and coming back up again, then you might have an idea
of why.
It's because the money talks. I mean, this couple who literally they sat next to us during the cruise
dinner
experience at the main dining room, but at first we were given a table that was next to a window,
right, which I had requested from the very beginning, and they had the third table
off from the window.
The last couple of nights they sat there, and all of a sudden one of the nights we go back thinking we were going to have a regular table. Oh no, it's been taken. There is a third table available, which was their table, so somehow they must have paid to get the window.
They're like, we like this seat, so I think we want this table. Yeah. You do understand what this means, because that's what we were told even by that couple, that when they used to travel with their family, they would literally pay the maitre d' at the beginning of the cruise a certain amount of hundreds of dollars in order to get the privilege to not have to wait in line like everyone else, to not have to be,
harassed coming in
bothered
and out of the ship,
and
not
having a table when they needed it,
and bringing in, he was informed, 6 bottles of some sort of liquor, tequila.
Yeah. Mind you, had one bottle of
water
in a metal can, and they made us open it, but the people that have privilege, sometimes people get this service package. It's called the Key on Royal Caribbean, and they're able to cut in line or get first dibs and first excursion privileges and first, tender privileges and all those things.
The royal treatment.
The royal treatment, because you paid for it. And 6 bottles of tequila, not checked once. The duffel bags.
You could buy liquor, but you're supposed to turn it in, and they keep it for you till the end of the trip. Oh, they were able to take it to their room. And it's like, okay, that's unheard of. But
it is.
Money talks, everything else walks, But anyway, let's start from the very beginning.
Day one.
We
had a wonderful meal that night before,
right,
at a nice vegan restaurant
in California,
and enjoyed that. It was like we were looking forward to the bountiful amount of different varieties of good food that a cruise provides typically. Like last year on Princess. Princess was a very great experience for us in the buffet.
Yeah.
Fresh fruit, fresh
Vegetable
salad.
yeah.
We'll get into the food later. But the first thing was, on Princess, we had this little medallion,
Right.
and that would let us get on the ship apparently quite easily.
Yeah.
Which wasn't the case this time, right?
No.
Because how many times did we have to present our ID?
As soon as we put our bags through their little gizmo, oh, and I was giving a hard time. They put my thing back because all I had was clothing inside my luggage. I don't know what they were looking for. I must have that kind of face, I don't know. And I mean, it was just like really rude. But that wasn't enough. And, we have to show your passport and all that stuff. Did it, no problem. Take my hat off, put my hat back on. It's like, we got checked 6 times. They had different points before actually getting in the ship. It is like, how many times do they have to look at my passport or look at who I am?
They had like some private security firm, then they had the cruise line, then they had another, I guess, I don't know, the government, TSA type thing, and then probably that privacy service again, and then
excessive.
I don't know why. And then they took our picture.
Excessive.
And it was like, do you remember back in Fort Lauderdale when I was very video savvy at that time? I was making videos with a camera, and I was just going to show the check-in process, and they go, you're going to have to turn, remember? You're going to have to turn that off because this is a secure area. Yeah. And then they wanted to confiscate the disc and the card, and I was like, so my experience with Royal, with the courtesy department, with security, has been less than great.
They're always like this. They have this attitude, like TSA. Like they don't make you feel very welcome. They make you feel like a criminal. We didn't feel that way with Princess.
No,
it was like no problem. Nothing to write home about. It was very smooth, very kind, happy people. And the Royal Caribbean security embarkation and debarkation both was an event, and it's unnecessary.
But let me paint a picture for you. And this wasn't our scenario. So thankfully, we relieved ourselves before getting on the cruise ship, right? But imagine you're finally able to get your room. The moment you go in, if you were like on a plane and you got your flight and a connecting flight and then you got a taxi and then you're like, oh, I can't wait to get into my room so that I can relieve myself.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the bathroom upon entering
the room.
And can you believe it? There was no toilet paper.
A room that should have been freshly cleaned and set up for the new
and
arrivals.
It was open.
Yeah.
It was open. Our room was open.
Yeah. New arrival and no toilet paper. It was clean. You can't, they had cleaned it, but it wasn't set up, properly for new arrivals, and usually you get like all these little goodies when you first walk in, and it's like it was lacking all of that. Like that.
I think we had bottled water on Princess.
Yeah, they had like a little welcoming thing and nice little...
make you feel special.
Yeah. None of that happened with Royal Caribbean.
There was no royal treatment with Royal Caribbean. When we went to look in the closet, there were no robes.
No, we had robes with Princess.
There were no robes.
Their app, very glitchy.
Oh, yeah.
And they give you these antiquated key cards, which this day and age.
Cards, in 2017.
Yeah.
2002.
But Princess had
I'm sure you had one in 1996.
Yeah. But you figure, if Princess has that updated medallion, which allows you to have hand-free, because you get this little watch and you have the medallion everywhere. Before you even enter a room, it registers you and you're able to get in. It's like, geek, and you get inside your room. Not this way. You have to fumble and hope that you didn't lose your card somewhere to get inside your room, which I think it's very antiquated, especially having the technology that Princess and I'm sure other cruise line have. So that's, if you aren't like the type of person that likes to carry a bunch of stuff in your hands. You know, sometimes you have stuff and you have to like, oh man, I have to go into my pockets, and that's not necessary.
Yeah, and the fact that not having toilet paper was one thing, but not having tissue paper was another thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and not only did we not have tissue paper that one day,
We never had it.
we never had tissue paper. So if you like using toilet paper for your nose, you want to go on Royal.
Yeah, and ply 1, because it says 2-ply, right? But
Double layer, it said.
It's like
And
there's only one
I was
layer.
looking for the double layer.
Yeah, one layer,
Yeah.
not and for somebody like us who have a bidet, you know, it's the toilet paper, and if it's bad, you know.
It was like using cardboard.
Yeah.
I mean, like sandpaper,
Yeah.
the toilet paper.
And you know, when you're on a cruise, you tend to eat a little more than you usually eat, so you tend to go number 2, a little bit more than you usually go. So good toilet paper is definitely an essential thing, but you know, they didn't get the memo. So
And tissue paper, I guess it's, I don't know, but there was a little spot one time where they would slide a little carton of Kleenex inside, and you had that little opening, and like even a cheap motel in the past had, you know, tissues.
Yeah.
But they apparently are cutting costs. I don't know, because we mentioned it towards the end with another couple that we were sitting with, not this other couple that we mentioned with the whole water park thing and paying people off, but this other couple, and they said that they had tissue paper. They had to go scrambling on a scavenger hunt for it.
So
but
I guess
it was there.
if you don't have upgraded rooms, you don't get tissue paper. Oh, and by the way, it took them 3 hours to give us because you called.
3 hours.
You
I
called.
called and nothing ever happened. I called because the bed wasn't the same as a princess bed, so I ended up asking for a topper because I read from some reviews online that their beds weren't as comfortable.
Right.
But with the topper, they were great.
Right.
You know, the beds were great, but you'd have to request that. So I requested that. I requested
The toilet paper.
the toilet paper, and I would have requested tissue paper if I knew that we didn't have any. But
Right. But it took 3 hours, to say the least. So if you had to do a number 2 in the meanwhile, you pretty much, you know.
you had to find a public bathroom, you
Yeah.
know, and you know there were lots of public bathrooms.
Right.
That's one thing.
But you pay for your room, and you
Yeah.
know, you're getting there, you're unpacking, and you want to go find a public bathroom, you know, on the ship. So
Especially if you're just getting on and you had a big layover and you finally caught your flight, and you know it was like chaotic to get in, you know.
it was just, I was getting to the point, I was getting annoyed because we're carrying our because I will not turn in my luggage. I like to carry my stuff. I don't trust them. So having to fumble to get my passport again while I'm like carrying my carry-on in my garment bag and a backpack.
I think at one point they said, "Oh, we won't need it anymore."
Yeah. And so I put it away.
You put it away.
And they had
Yeah.
another point where
Yeah.
I was like, but
They're
wait
like,
a
"Do you have
minute.
your ID?" It's like,
we
just
got told that
Can
we
you-
weren't needed anymore. You know, but crazy stuff. Anyway, most people like to cruise because of the food. I don't know, many of you have been cruisers, but the food has always been, you know, pretty good quality. Lots of fruits and vegetables and variety. You know, it's like eating in a cruise is usually one of the highlights. You know, they wine and dine you type of thing. Well, that's gone down the drain. The quality of food, the fruits, not fresh. The bananas always look like they were like about to get spoiled. Princess, they cut like the melons and the honeydew and the watermelons with the other kind, the cantaloupe and all that in cubes. And they had a big salad bar where you had a ton of spring mix and stuff, and you would make yourself a nice big hearty salad. Not here. They had like a little section with mostly romaine and iceberg.
yeah.
You know, and the shredded carrots. It's just very minimal stuff, and it was always empty because people would take it and they wouldn't refill it. And they had eating times, like breakfast is from, what was it, 7 to 11 or
Yeah.
something like that, or 9 to 11 actually.
Yeah.
Or something
11
later.
to 3 was lunch. and they closed one of the lines down so that they could make the changeover to lunch. But if you wanted to eat anytime from 3 to like 6, I think, or something,
Yeah.
then you were SOL, because there's no way you're going to be able to get any food from the buffet. And like, you can't even get a banana, you can't even get an apple, you can't get anything.
Right.
It's shut down.
It's and they you could go to the promenade, which is level 5, where they have poorly made pizzas and a couple little things that you could get, but not your typical, like the buffet is always open, even at midnight, you know, and you could get whatever it is that you wanted, whenever you want it. And breakfast, I never felt that, oh, I got to set the alarm to make sure we get breakfast, because we usually work out first and go to breakfast. Well, we didn't want to miss the breakfast. I enjoyed, you know, my muesli, enjoyed with Princess. Their muesli here was...
I remember, like, when I was a kid, I'd never been on a cruise before, you know, so I would watch The Love Boat.
Yeah.
And The Love Boat, you know, Julie McCoy was all happy. She was like welcoming all the guests on the ship, and Captain Steubing was there. I mean, of course, those days are over. But San Pedro was the port where they would take off on the Love Boat. They would leave Los Angeles, right? And I remember that their food was like extravagant. It was like ice sculptures and
shrimp. Didn't see any of that.
Chilled shrimp on the bar there. I don't know if a salad bar has gone the way of a racquetball court in America these days, but it seems like the selection of food that they offer on the cruise ship, especially with Royal, has dropped
dramatically. Princess has had ice sculptures. They even had where they show you how they make them, and they just, everything was so presented so beautifully, because that's part of the enjoyment.
Even last year,
with Princess,
they had. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention before we leave the housekeeping is that the attendant came in and she mentioned that she cleaned the room one time in the whole day. You know, like, we are used to, like, they would like do this type of bedding on the Princess cruise, where they would have like the bedding set up a certain way for the daytime, and then they would turn the sheets down and pull the pillows off and change the comforter a little bit, and then they would come and tidy up the room. They don't do that here. She said, you have a choice. And we had this Dominican lady. She was like from Dominica, from like the Caribbean. And she was giving us the option of either a morning clean or an evening clean, but not both. Because
choose your weapon. Which one do you want?
The other. And not that they weren't going to be around. She said they were.
If you need us, you were only a phone call away. But
we did a phone call away, and
it didn't work.
Answered.
But yeah, that was one of the like really great things. You know, you always had a clean room. You always, like with Princess, the guy who cleaned our room, first thing as he saw us coming in, he introduced himself.
Oh yeah.
And anything you want, anything you need. He was very happy, good-looking, very personable. Not the Princess. I mean,
not the Royal.
She wasn't rude or anything, but she didn't make us feel special.
No.
In the Princess.
I mean, we basically said, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Yeah. Nice to see you. Okay, bye. That was pretty much it. There wasn't more interaction. Was not actually even possible, I don't think.
No. And Royal Caribbean you were able to order room service for free?
No, Princess.
I mean, Princess for free. I'm sorry. Royal Caribbean, they charge you $7 something if you order room service, with the exception of the continental breakfast. That's all you got.
And you had to put it out by 3 in the morning.
Yeah, anything else they would charge you. With Princess, you could order
$7.95 plus a gratuity. Right. So it wasn't like...
That's Royal, yeah.
Yeah,
Princess was free. You could order anytime, as much as you wanted. Room service, no charge. So that was another take in the wrong direction.
But the food...
Yeah,
horrible. We can't even begin to describe how the food.
You got sick.
I got sick. Yeah, they have a lot of different slop options.
Yeah.
Basically, like this particular cruise has a lot of Indian influence, so it has lots of Indian crew, Indian chefs. So they had a lot of Indian dishes.
Right.
They always had roti, some kind of curry of some sort. They had some type of stewed meat mishmash thing or something, but it wasn't flavorful.
No.
It wasn't tasty. It wasn't fresh. No. It seems like, honestly, it doesn't even seem like they prepare the food on the in the morning or anything, or in the evening or anything like that.
They reuse stuff.
They already have it, I think, and they just reheat it. Yeah. It seems like they just pull it out of like heating, and then they heat it up, because the food, it just no presentation,
zero,
no flavor.
No, I mean I try to order some of the vegan stuff because I wanted to stay healthy, and they were just bland tasting. Didn't know how to really combine the flavors with the herbs and the spices without making it salty. But I mean, it was just a disaster. It wasn't good at all. It just nothing. I mean, the fruits didn't seem fresh. The salads weren't fresh. There's a lot of times I had to pick, you could tell like when it was going bad.
You got like some brown or blackish salad.
You could get sick, it's so easy to really get sick on a cruise if the food isn't fresh. You did.
I got some type of food poisoning, I don't know. Yeah. And also, they just use such cheap ingredients. Yeah. We were used to like this muesli that had like bits of apple and zucchini. There was a celery in it. Yeah. There was some kind of zucchini in it. There were
cranberries and different.
It wasn't like this runny
slop of
It was like oatmeal with
milk. Yeah, and it was just like it. Yeah, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good. And then we were like so looking forward to a good salad, like at lunch.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think the salad bar has become the 80s thing or 90s thing, because it just doesn't seem to be something that people eat anymore. It seems like the cruise lines pick up on the fact that people like fried chicken, hamburgers, hot dogs, French fries, ketchup, mayonnaise, and mustard. And I'm sorry, if you like pizza, don't go to the buffet. They don't have it there. They only have it downstairs in very limited quantities at the Royal Promenade. Yeah. But, what are you going to say?
It's just they cater to the crowd that is overweight and will eat anything, just in bulk. And they don't cater to people who care about what they eat. And there's just not the quality and the freshness of the food. It was disappointing. And we were asked at the end, it was like the day before we left, how is everything? Really, they try to be nice. Again, I don't blame the employees. And this was like the head waiter. Yeah. And he asked me how the quality of the food at the Windjammer or the buffet. And I said, terrible. I would give it a 3. He was like taken back. Well, what was wrong? I said, well, what wasn't? Nothing was fresh. As a person who likes to eat fresh fruits and vegetables and healthy foods, there was not that for me. It wasn't there. I don't like to eat slop. I like to eat healthy foods. And I felt very deprived during the entire, and almost like, there was nothing good. So you're almost like, well, I guess I'm going to eat some of the bad stuff because there's nothing healthy and good for me to eat.
Yeah, like we had hash browns, which we typically would never have eaten. We had some chicken sausage or something, and that wasn't even that great. The coffee had grounds in it all the time. It was never good. I mean, it was never good. Yeah. We finally figured that they do offer soy milk, so we were able to get soy milk, but not until I was like infested with so much dairy.
Yeah, she's allergic to dairy and gets real mucusy.
And the people that were bringing coffee refills, it was like a hit or miss.
Right. I had to get up most of the time to get a refill until I decided just having some tea. Because, they had tea, green tea, chamomile tea, chai tea, all sorts of different teas. I'm like, the coffee is really not good, so I'm just gonna have tea. And we brought our little stevia, which is how we sweeten our stuff. But you know, it's like it's 2024. You know, people are being more mindful in what they eat. These cruise lines are trying to. People need to, like, the cruise line need to be a little bit more attentive, or a little cater to the healthier, not just the hot dogs and hamburgers and pizza and French fries and a bunch of desserts. Like, people would have a plate full of sampling everything, and it's like, if you're not diabetic, go on a cruise, you will become one.
Yeah, because I mean, each one of those little delectable delights are probably like 300 calories each, and then you know, you multiply that by 5.
Yeah,
that's 1,500 calories.
On dessert alone.
And you know, I mean, you can do the math, but it's just not a good combination. And not to mention, the first day, they have some kind of a Mexican little eatery outside by the pool, and everything. We had just barely gotten on the ship, but all the condiments section, it was like all picked over, and there was no salsa.
Messy.
It was messy. It's not sanitary.
I think that's where you got
safe.
Sick. You know, because I looked at it and I said, you know, we shouldn't be eating that, because that's, like, I have an eye when I know, like, something can make you sick, and it's like, that just doesn't look right.
But it's like, visually looking at the food, you don't know until, like, when you put it in your mouth. It's like, I put in the rice in my mouth, and it was like, this tastes like the worst kind of rice. You know, it wasn't cooked well.
The beans were never cooked.
No, the beans were never cooked well. The presentation is just not sanitary. The pizza was like a cracker. You know, I don't know. I don't mean to be completely negative. If we had made a video last year about our cruise experience and the food, it would have been so different than we have experienced.
And we're not the only one. These couple that had the money, they also were talking about how they prefer Princess as well as a cruise line. They make you feel special. The food is way better. The presentation and the dining experience is just, they make you feel like you're a millionaire.
The main dining room experience was less than stellar, less than mediocre. It was really bland. It wasn't, I mean, if you like fish, they had salmon and cod and sole. That was
cod and sole. Cod was out for one night, sole was out for another night. The remaining of the night, it was all salmon. When we went to Princess, we had halibut, we had mahi-mahi. They had a huge selection of fishes that you could have, you know, but not there.
Yeah, and the thing is that any of their vegan items were so bland, so boring, so flavorless, so lifeless. You know, I mean, they did have vegan ice cream.
And that we liked.
That was good.
Yeah.
But it just, you know, you end up like filling yourself up on too much bread.
Which, that's what I did.
And that, you know, it's almost like you just like drop your standards.
You have to, you know.
You know, you get to like a place during the cruise where you're like, well, do I want to have the herb crusted asparagus that tastes like
nothing,
nothingness, or do I want the grilled steak? You know, and we're not steak eaters, you know, and last year we wouldn't have even touched it, you know, but I mean, there was just no option.
You're like, you pay all this money to go on a cruise, you want to eat, you know, and it's like, well, I guess we'll try the stuff that we normally don't eat.
Like you had lasagna. Yeah. I had chicken parmesan one of the nights, and the lasagna was like,
I could only eat half of my lasagna.
And the chicken parmesan was like sodium filled. It was like, it was almost like it was like a hungry man's
like
frozen
TV dinner. TV dinner party. I mean, cafeteria style food in the buffet and TV dinner type foods in the. I mean, it's like we paid all this money to. I mean, you know, and I don't mean to be a snob, but I cook and I'm pretty good at putting stuff together, making it taste really good. So I have high standards. If I'm not going to cook and I'm going to relax and allow somebody else to cook for me, I want to eat good. That didn't happen. I felt like, wow, I missed my kitchen and I missed putting the stuff that I put together.
I missed, I really was looking forward to getting off the cruise ship this time because like it was exhausting. Waking up to like expecting maybe something different. Like we went to go, like maybe we'll just go look at dinner in the buffet. And we did. And it was like the same miserable salad setup. It was like
nothing different.
A homely little bowl of mixed greens, shredded carrots, olives.
And if it was mixed green, it was iceberg with romaine.
Right.
Yeah.
And cucumbers. And it was like it was like it made like some family restaurant salad bar look like a gourmet, thing. It just it was really disappointing.
Pretty lame and just not flavorful. The presentation was horrible, and then dirty because you have a bunch of people. But one thing with Princess, it was always clean. They were on it.
Yeah, they were.
Here it's like slob. I mean, it was just like everything was dirty and just. Bottom line, the food was terrible, both at the dining room and in the Windjammer and in the Promenade. We didn't even bother trying any specialty restaurant because if I had to pay more money and get disappointed, it wasn't going to be pretty.
Yeah.
I would have I don't know.
I don't even know. I mean, we both don't really agree with like going on a cruise and then spending money at a specialty restaurant. I mean,
it's like you're already spending money on the cruise.
Like the main dining room should be the specialty restaurant.
Exactly.
Oh, lobster day.
Oh,
lobster night. Royal Caribbean does a thing where they give you one tail, and you can't order any more unless you want to pay $16.99 for the extra. And that was something unheard of. The person that was next to us, the rich couple next to us that we had a conversation with, she mentioned that she had like 5 tails. It was like, I mean, that's a lot, but it was still something that people did.
Well, it's something you look forward to. How many times do you go out for lobster? You go on a cruise, they give you lobster, and they're not mingy about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Royal Caribbean, they give you one, and if you want more, you have to pay $16.99. Unheard of.
Yeah.
They were cutting corners every way possible. Like everything they did, they cut corners, and you could see it. And if you're an avid cruiser and you've cruised before, you right away see it.
I don't know how anybody who has been a Royal Caribbean loyal Crown and Anchor Society member for 20 plus 30 years, how they could even put up and tolerate anything like this, because it really has, like that older not older but the wealthy couple that we sat next to, they mentioned that they were surprised because they hadn't been on a cruise since they had gone with their kids, and back then the kids had to wear a blazer and the girls had to wear dresses in order to get inside the main dining room. You couldn't just, and I know it's a sign of our times. The clothing that people wear now is a pajama.
Yeah, that's the new.
That's the new style. I mean, it's like 2023 and 24. It's going to be known as the
pajama era.
The pajama era.
That's what people wear for pants now. Is pajamas.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So the standards have,
declined.
Have declined, and it used to be really nice to be able to see people give a hoot and care about like presentation and
just look at the way people look.
But
like
a lot
today.
of people can't fit into some
that's
of
the
clothes
thing.
that are finer wear.
The excess amount of food, you can't fit in clothing anymore. I mean, I can't buy clothing. Every time I go to men's department to buy clothing,
size 42 pants.
Yeah, and I got to take a size 29, 30. And it's like they don't have selections for my size. Sometimes I have to go to a little boys department. And even that is a struggle because even the kids are huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just not trying to be mean or anything, but people just don't care anymore about themselves and how their health, because never mind about looks, it's about your health. And you see people wobbling, and they couldn't. Like, I'm like, they're gonna have a heart attack in a minute now. That's what it looked like. They weren't able. They were huffing and puffing, but they just kept eating. They kept drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
And talking about, let's go talking about alcohol. We didn't drink. Okay, I stopped drinking a while back. I don't enjoy it anymore. And as you get older, alcohol does cause a lot of problems in your system. They kept pushing the alcohol everywhere you went. Cocktails, mimosas.
Oh my gosh, there was this one woman that was constantly every morning like a rooster. She didn't realize it, that having a tray, mimosas and Bloody Marys on it, and she's speaking, and there's particles,
all those particles
coming out of her mouth and onto the thing
cocktail
they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if someone wanted it, it'd be like, I want it, but I don't want that one.
Give me a fresh one.
Give me a fresh one.
But yeah, you're sitting in the theater waiting for the show. They're bugging you with that. You're sitting anywhere in the cruise ship, or lack of seating, because there's hardly no place to sit if you want to just enjoy the music. They're filled with selling Rolexes and all sorts of little venues selling things, because it's a selling fest. It's like you go to a cruise to be entertained, not to just sit there and be harassed. I mean, you're used to getting harassed when you get off the port.
Yeah.
With all the.
That's another
story. But in the cruise ship too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
and on Princess they had this. Some of the dress up nights, the 2 nights that were dress up. They had like really nice setups with photo backgrounds and professional photographers. No. I like Royal. Royal does pictures with your food in your mouth at the table and asking you if you want to take a picture with, like, while you're eating. It's
and they do have areas, but not the way it was set up with Princess.
I didn't really see anyone taking a picture.
Yeah.
But over at Princess, I saw lines.
Lines,
yeah. And people dressed down to the nines, back there at the Princess Cruise. It was nothing. I mean, it has fallen so far that you don't like Carnival. I don't. I've only been on one Carnival.
Royal has become
and
Carnival.
It was when I was like in my 20s, so I wouldn't know. But Carnival has always been given the bad rap of being the party boat, the crazy loud fighting boat.
That's what Royal has become now.
Royal's turning
they bought
into
Carnival. They're the same company. So
no. Princess and Royal are the same company. Yeah, but Royal,
Carnival and Prince and Carnival and Royal, not Princess.
No, Princess owns Carnival. And that's just their lower brand. But Royal owns Celebrity.
Okay.
And that's their upper tier brand.
I thought that Carnival was also owned by
Royal.
No,
but the experience is not even equal. Yeah. I mean, if you were trying, or not even apples to apples at all, it was just nothing like that.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen more sitting areas for people to enjoy the music throughout the ship. I mean, there was one night we were walking, was tired already, and you were sick, and we had done that huge walk in
Mazatlan,
that we climbed up these ladders and up this thing, and we were like exhausted. Well, that night, I would have liked to have sat down just to enjoy the music.
But there's no seating.
Nowhere to sit.
I mean, they have like performance. Some of the music was excellent. We loved the band Kronos.
Yeah,
that was one of the highlights of the cruise, was listening to this band play different songs and stuff that it was a very, very good rendition of some of those cover songs and stuff. But people wanted to dance to some salsa or reggaeton or something. They couldn't even find a seat next to people wanted to enjoy it. It just, and the Royal Promenade was like the main area where they had a 70s flashback or hits party and an 80s flashback party, and they have a bridge where the cruise director Mark does his little thing and they dance up there, and it turns into like a mini New Year's Eve at in New York. You know, it looks like
because it's small.
It's so congested. There's
yeah.
nowhere to sit.
No.
There's no way to enjoy it because, you know, I mean, we saw people taking seats out of the restaurants in order to, you know, and the people that would want to use a restaurant or one of those bars wouldn't have a place to sit. So,
you know, they had 2 Starbucks, which took a lot of room where chairs could have been placed.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, it was so commercialized, you know, that it took away. It's like you go on a cruise not to be, you know, haggled and stuff like that. You go on a cruise to enjoy the entertainment, to, you know, relax, just talk to people. It was just like, it just wasn't enjoyable at all. So because we're really in our room, you know, we like to like take a little nap or just go to the room for a couple hours and watch something on television. With Princess, I had a bunch of selections of movies.
Lots of on-demand little categories. I mean, we watched maybe 10 or 15 movies that week.
Last year, yeah.
You know, and they had all kinds of different offerings and stuff like that, and that and the regular channels that they had. But
which is a lot.
These people, I was like, okay, so what's the on-demand look like? 1, 2, 3? That's it?
3 movies.
Three movies.
And the quality is like stutter, glitch. It was like you couldn't even watch anything because it's like it got glitching, and it was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
At one point, we're watching this documentary, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just goes to another show.
Yeah,
and it was like it was like over. I was like, Did we miss something?
I know. It's like, what just happened?
It was like, and it was a topic that had nothing to do with what they were talking about earlier.
So the television, the satellite, whatever it is that they use, horrible.
And it's $25.99 per day. The cruise director was pushing the usage of a couple nights of internet towards the end in order to take advantage of $25.99.
And we didn't get that, but according to some of the people, there was a lot of glitches in that too.
Yeah, I heard. Wasn't there some joke made about it on the cruise by the comedian?
Yeah, because it's horrible internet, but you're paying $26 a night. The size of the shower.
Oh my gosh! If you are
overweight
obese at all, you might as well not even think about going on Royal, unless you don't plan on showering and only using the hot tub as your shower.
Yeah.
You know, because it was bad.
Yeah, I kept hitting my elbow because the shower was right here and here was the toilet, and I kept hitting my elbow. I think I counted 20 times because the bathroom is so small and it's ergonomically not placed correctly. I would have done it totally different if I had designed that bathroom. But the plus is that you close it, you felt like you were in a little capsule, and it wasn't like a curtain or anything like that. But it was small. So if you're a big person, I don't know how they managed to fit inside that little capsule. Yeah, so that
you could barely move in there.
Yeah,
you know, if you're big,
yeah,
you just don't have a great chance of. Yeah, but it was a you know, if you have any electronics or anything that you want to charge, there's only like 2 little outlets right by the front there, and you know,
and we had to bring our own little thing, and I know it's an older ship, but you know, you would think that they either upgrade or do something in order to accommodate today's people's need of
amped it up in 2019. I think it was. They amped it up, which means that they updated it.
Yeah.
And what I understand the updates was that they added more cabins, and they made it so that there were more people that were able to sell more spaces, you know, but they didn't really amp up the rooms because they could have easily put in like USB sockets into the lights for people to charge their devices.
You couldn't use your phone. I mean, we had our own charging thing, so we had that for our phone because we had read that was the case. But if not, you couldn't have your phone being charged next to your bed if you wanted to see your clock or your, you know, on your phone. But yeah, that and the noise control in the room. We had a room where we had a window to the promenade area, and it was pretty noisy. You know, I mean, Luckily,
Well,
it didn't go up
it
till
was
late at night.
above
But
a bar.
yeah.
So
So you would hear, everything that was going on. You figure that they would make more soundproof
Yeah.
windows or something, so that if you're an early to bed person, you weren't getting disturbed. Yeah. So overall, like the entertainment, like that one band, but the entertainment in the main theater, it was okay. I'm not going to diss it all the way, but it wasn't Broadway quality like Prince's shows are.
yeah, I mean, the dancers, there was a couple from Ukraine that were excellent.
Yeah,
They
they were
were,
good.
I mean, if they weren't there, it would have lacked.
Yeah.
But they pretty much kind of carried it,
Yeah.
and their passion was so, so palpable. They were able to do really wonderful, dance moves and stuff, and I think that group of dancers really benefited from being able to see their work ethic,
Yeah.
and they did a really good job. The singing wasn't as great as I've heard on other cruise lines and stuff. The show at the beginning, when they would start it, it was like Groundhog Day, because they would play the same Lizzo hit every time, and it was like
Repeat.
it was like over and over, and then they would play this old song from Phil Collins from the band and stuff, and it was like, and bringing on your cruise director Mark, and it was like, but it was so like repetitive. No creativity.
No, it was very pro-rote, very.
I mean, the
it was
shows,
lacking.
the dancing shows were more entertaining. They were good.
Yeah.
I mean, they had some good. The kids there that were dancing, they stayed in shape.
Yeah.
It seemed like they kept them from gaining any weight. It
Yeah.
seems like, but the entertainment, the comedian, he was funny. But he only did like maybe 20 minutes or something.
No
of
magic
a
show. No magic show, which usually they do have a magic show. They had some guy there who was, I don't know what he was. He wanted to be a juggler and wanted to be a comedian and he wanted to be, but it was just not, up to par. I mean, if you have kids, the way it's set up, the slides, the wall climbing, all this arcade, it's great for kids.
Yeah,
But for adults who like maybe to watch some seminars and activities throughout the day, they were lacking. It was a lot of selling you Rolexes and selling you stuff in the
Jewelry.
fitness, and jewelry. Those are like the activities. Very few, like, they had some trivia stuff, but it was lacking, the whole concept.
We went up into the gym, and like any cruise ship at the beginning, everybody's a health nut.
Yeah.
It feels like, everyone was there, and they're like, we're going to do this, because the beginning of the year, everybody's like New Year's resolution, they're going to eat right, they're probably going to not have like some things that they thought they might not get and stuff like that. And it was like, okay, let's wait a few days and see how this works,
Yeah, it was in the first couple of days. It was hard to get machines and stuff, and then it dwindled down. We trained. I think it was 5 or 6 of the days that we were there.
But like when I was like towards the end, it seems like all the machines were breaking. It was like I tried to find a cycling machine, and they were all out of order. They weren't working. They were just like at one point one of the abductors or something was messed up.
Yeah. And just not enough variety. It's a very small gym for the amount of people that were there. So
3,750 people
in a very small gym. I mean, the initial Royal Caribbean cruise that we did together in Florida had a pretty nice big gym.
Oh, it was
Prince's was very nice. It had a lot of different variety of machines and 2 Smith machines, and just like it was good. This one wasn't. So, that's usually my highlight. I like to train in the gym first thing in the morning before eating and anything, and it was just like I felt like I can't even get a good workout. So that was pretty bad. Let's see, the lounging chairs throughout the boat. I mean, it was like they put them together close. I mean, if you didn't like the person next to you, you were doomed. Because everybody was like sardines.
At one point, the cruise director mentioned that in Cabo San Lucas that there was a whale sighting, like a pod of whales. And he said, it doesn't matter either side, you could check it out. And they, blah, blah. And then it's like, how do you get to see it if there's lounging chairs blocking the rail, so that we literally had to shimmy our way, and by the time we shimmied our way across, the whales were gone.
Gone.
I mean, it was like over.
Yeah.
With Princess, we saw it from the buffet,
Yeah.
The window, and
Yeah.
people were all excited and stuff, but not this cruise.
Yeah, it's
this
just,
cruise.
it's like...
The tender. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yes.
If you want to get off at Cabo San Lucas, I don't know what's there to look at this point, because we got off that one time, but it literally took us 3.5 hours to get on the tender.
Yeah.
It was like we went to the area to go get the ticket, and if you had an excursion or if you paid, I guess,
so.
you were able to get on ship number 1, but we were on ship 25. What was it?
Yeah, and it was like
25
slow
out of
staking.
30?
Yeah, slow staking process, 3.5 hours. I mean, the day we were just sitting around waiting. I'm like, this ain't working. What time are we gonna get on this thing just to have to come back to the ship?
And we got on, and I just think it's so tacky that they would actually pass a tip jar for both going to Cabo San Lucas and then coming back. It's like, I don't know. Do the cruise lines not pay the tender?
Yeah,
people?
add insult to injury. It took forever to get on there, and now you're asking me for more money. And it's like,
and then we got off, and it was like a militarized zone.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
It was kind of scary.
Like M16s, and it's like, is there something we need to find out?
They're protecting you.
Yeah.
And then you hear about some of the things that are going on with the pharmacies. People would typically go to Mexico to get some cheap medical, drugs and stuff like that. But now it's really dangerous because fentanyl is causing a problem.
Yeah, and it's not safe. It's really not safe. I mean, we enjoyed that climb, and that was like the day before you got sick, and it was quite the climb, and it was like
it was called Faro, I think it was, de Mazatlan, and the Mirador de Cristal. I think it's like maybe 25-30 minutes away if you're an avid walker, and then you climb up to the top, and it was steep. And it was exhausting, and I'm glad it wasn't super hot or anything like that. But
it still felt pretty hot because of the climb, and it was just like, whoa.
But some of these ports, they're just not really fun to stop in because I mean, we were like barely walking down the road, and it was like there was like dog poop on the sidewalk.
Yeah. And
then we made a left, and there was a gushing sound of water coming from a car, and what was happening there?
The guy was taking a piss.
Yeah, it was like, it was so gross.
Yeah, the smell,
things that they don't advertise, you know.
Plus, I never felt safe at all, and I was looking, because they're always like trying to. I was approached several times
in Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah. Do I want to buy weed? And
like
stuff
4
like
times.
That.
And it was like an assault by those people once you got off the ship, especially in Cabo San Lucas, where it was a constant like
being sold something.
Oh my gosh! You want to go look at the yards? You want to get a taxi? You want to go here? You want to go there? And
you want to buy this? You want to buy that? It's like no, please, just leave us alone.
Leave us alone. You want us to take your picture? You want us to somebody that we spoke to? He was very entertaining, by the way, because that day after we got back from Cabo San Lucas, he had an awful experience at Senor Frogs or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he drank a little too much, and then he wanted to use the bathroom, which, by the way, you have to pay to use the restroom in any of those areas. And then they wouldn't let him out of the bathroom. And it was like, you got to pay to get out. Literally, it was like they were like detaining him there. He was drunker than a skunk. He managed to get out, and he almost missed the ship, because the last tender was at 7:15. His wife was sitting there waiting for him because he went to use the restroom because he drank too much and he had to relieve himself, and he had all that altercation. But yeah, needless to say, not a very good experience.
Not a big fan of Cabo San Lucas. If we ever go on another Mexican Riviera cruise, it's definitely something that I just stay on the ship for.
Yeah.
Because just the fact that you have to wait for 3.5 hours to get off, it just is really
and then a line to get back into the ship. And we went back early because I didn't want to have.
And we thought it was just going to be, there's the shuttles, just come and go. It was like a long line.
Yeah.
It was. So this has been a royal mess.
Yeah.
This whole week, I felt under the weather for most of it, so we weren't able to enjoy it quite as much as we could have enjoyed it. But I mean, it's not like we're gonna give up on cruising or anything, but we are gonna give up on Royal.
Oh, Royal, never again.
Because that wasn't anything that I would ever want to repeat again.
No. I mean, sometimes I wonder if an all-inclusive resort, would cater better, have better foods, than, because it's just an eating frenzy of people that don't care what they put in their mouth, so they cater that kind of crowd. They don't cater to people who care about what they put in their system.
Lots of kids.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
We thought that maybe by
Kids are
being
back
a
in school.
week after kids get back to school, which is normal, right?
Mhm.
Even the comedian last night or a couple nights ago mentioned the fact, well, how long is your Christmas vacation? Like 45 days, you guys? I mean, because there were not just a smattering of children. It was like a Christmas cruise because there were lots and lots of kids and strollers and families, big families, and kids jumping on the stairs, running around, and it wasn't anything like we were used to with Princess. It was like, on Princess, it was like, oh look, there's a baby.
This is like full of kids. Full of kids. So needless to say, it didn't make it very enjoyable.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much our review of Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Sea experience. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it unless you don't mind not eating well, eating anything tasty.
Yeah.
Unless you like waiting for a tender for almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
To go to a port that will only be there for 4 more hours, and then you have to get back, or else you're gonna miss your cruise ship.
Yeah, and an outdated ship that doesn't have, Princess, the ship we went last year, was a pretty new ship.
Yeah.
Upgraded, beautiful. It was nice. The ship was just ordinary,
Yeah.
So, Princess versus Royal Caribbean. Princess wins, Royal Caribbean, not so much. All right, guys. It was nice to
It's
get
been
back.
real.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to get this therapy session out.
Yeah, because we were traumatized.
I think there's probably a lot of other people that might feel the same about their cruise experience. It'd be interesting to find out if there are other people that have experienced this on their Caribbean cruises and stuff, or ones that leave out of Galveston, or any other cruise line that maybe they feel has fallen off the wagon. I hear Princess is also doing the once cleaning thing now, so I don't know if all cruise lines are going to drop their quality, because they're all kind of in the same circle. So they, as one does, maybe the other one does. It's like, I don't see why a cruise line would go, oh, so that cruise line gets away with it and they don't have to put up the quality. Oh, okay, so we can drop that. Okay, anywhere you can make more money for the
And that's sad.
stockholders.
That would be sad, because that would make me stop cruising altogether. Because money's hard to earn, and money doesn't grow on trees, and you put out the amount of money to go on a cruise, you expect some quality out of that, So if they do all go downhill, then we'll have to find other ways to vacation. I used to like it because it's like a 1 week and you don't worry about driving or doing anything. You're there, the shows and being entertained and wine and dined, and that was the experience I've had before with cruise line. Royal Caribbean kind of just dampened that experience for us. So anyway, guys, share if you've had similar experiences down in the comment section.
And even if you don't agree with us and you had a totally different experience, you know, everyone, it's definitely, you know, taste is in everybody's different palate, you know. It could have been interpreted differently by you if you were on the same cruise that happened to leave port on January 8th of 2024, and you had like some glorious time and you had like the most fabulous food and the entertainment was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. You know, that's great, but for us it really didn't. It was a royal disappointment. And I would never recommend cruising on Royal
Caribbean
again. Yeah.
All right, guys, take care, be well, and
we'll see you next time.